Next, we're going to be covering adding and subtracting fractions with both unlike and like denominators. So go ahead and take out your table of contents, and we are on concept number 8. So go ahead and write adding and subtraction fractions, put the page number, and once you do that, go ahead and turn to your first page. So our title is going to be adding and subtracting fractions. And the first section we're going to cover is like denominators. What I want you guys to do is you are going to pause the video now and go ahead and write down all these 4 steps. Step number 1, we got to make sure the denominators are the same. So taking a look at these 2 fractions here on the right hand side, our denominators are the same. We have both 10 here and 10 right here. Step number 2, we are going to add or subtract the numerators depending on the operation that we're given. So in this case, our operation is addition, so that means that we are going to add our numerators. So 5 plus 3 gives me 8. Step number 3, the denominator stays the same, meaning that if we have like denominators, that means that my answer is going to be, or my denominator is going to stay the same. Step number 4, simplify if necessary. Previously we learned how to reduce fractions. So taking a look at 8 over 10, I know that they are both even numbers, so I'm going to reduce this by 2. So I have 4 over 5. And that is going to be my final answer. Now, next section here below, we're going to learn about unlike denominators. So in fractions where we have denominators that are not the same number, it's going to take a little bit more steps, but it's not too complicated. Go ahead and write these 4 steps down. So pause the video and write the 4 steps down. So for step number 1, we're going to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators. Remember that in order for us to actually do anything with this fraction, we need to have common denominators. To define common denominators, we need to find the common multiple here, or the least common multiple. So what I'm going to write out is I'm going to write out all the multiples of 8 and 6. So I'm going to start with 8. 8 times 1 gives me 8. 8 times 2 will give me 16. 8 times 3 will give me 24. And 8 times 4 will give me 32. Now let's continue on with the 6's. So I have 6. 6 times 2 gives me 12. Times 3 gives me 18. And times 4 gives me 24. I'm going to stop there because I realized that they have a common multiple right there. So the lowest common multiple here in this section is 24. So by understanding that they have both 24, I'm going to change these 2 fractions. So I'm going to separate them. So I'm going to have 4 over 8. And I need to find a factor that gives me 24 right here on the denominator. So I'm going to multiply times 3. And what I do to the denominator, I get it to the numerator. So my new fraction is going to be 12 over 24. So I'm going to write this here, 12 over 24, plus, remember we have an addition sign. So now I'm going to transform 1/6, where my multiple is, or my denominator is going to be 24. So in order to make this 24, I got to multiply this times 4 and that times 4. That means that my new fraction is going to be 4 over 24. 4 over 24. Now that I have my common denominator, I can just add my numerator. So once again, step number 2, once the denominators are the same, add or subtract the numerators. So in this case, I'm going to add the numerators because that's what my operation is telling me to do. 12 plus 4 gives me 16. Step number 3, the denominator stays the same. Okay, denominator stays the same. Step number 4, simplify if necessary. So in this case, 16 and 24, they do need to be reduced. And I know that the greatest common factor between them is going to be 4. Right, so I'm going to reduce the denominator by 4. So that means I have 4 over 6. And I realized that I still need to continue simplifying it because I didn't use the greatest common factor. Greatest common factor would have been 8. So I can reduce it by 2, so that would give me, 2 over 3. So 2/3 would be my answer. Turn to a new page, and I have 2 pages of practice that we're going to go over together. So go ahead and pause the video, and I'm actually going to expand it a little bit more so you can see all the problems. Alright, so here I have problems. This section is going to be for addition. So the first thing that you notice is that most of them don't have a common denominator, so we have to create a common denominator. I know the common denominator between 11 and 4 would be 44. So that means that I have to multiply 11 on my numerator and 11 on my denominator. So, and now here, if they're going to have a common denominator of 44, that means that my denominator has to be times 4 and my numerator has to be times 4. So over here, I'm going to write my new fractions. That means I'm going to have 16 over 44 plus 99 over 44. So now that I have a common denominator, I can just add my numerators. I got 16 plus 99, which would equal 115 over 44. Now here's the trick. If by any chance that you have like a Texas Instrument calculator, your calculator can actually reduce fractions for you. So I'm not sure if a lot of you guys have one of these calculators. You won't need one until you take calculus, but if you plug in 115, like in this case, divided by 44, you can go into math, 1, enter, and it will tell you if you need to reduce your fraction. So in this case, they don't need to be reduced, but remember, if I have a numerator greater than my denominator, that is considered an improper fraction. Just for practice, I want you guys to get used to turning this into a mixed number. So in order to turn this into a mixed number, remember you have to use long division. So 44 goes into 115 twice, so that would just give me 88. So I'm going to subtract 115 minus 88, and that would give me 27. So I have a remainder of 27 over 44. So that means that my answer is going to be 2 and 27 over 44. I'm going to figure out if this needs to be changed. That is your answer. Next, we need to figure out what is the common denominator in this case. So you can either do one of two ways. Think about the multiples, or if you can't think of the multiple, let's go ahead and write the multiples out. So I need the multiples 9. 9 times 2 is 18, times 3 is 27, times 4 is 36, times 5 is 45. This one's going to be a little bit harder just because I know the other common number is going to be 99. So I'm going to pause the video now and write everything out. So I know that their common multiple is going to be 99. And the way that I did that, remember, I just wrote out all the multiples, and that's where I found my least common multiple here. So now that I know that my denominators are both going to be 99, so now that I found my common multiples, now I need to have my common denominators here. So I know that the common denominator is going to be 99, so I need to multiply the factors here that give me my denominator as 99. So 11 times 9 will give me 99, and 11 times 9, remember? So now my new fractions are going to be 9 over 99 plus 55 over 99. So I'm just going to add these together. 55 plus 9 will give me 64 over 99. 64 divided by 99. And there is no common number that we can, or a common factor that we can reduce this. So my final answer is going to be 64 over 99. I'm going to skip this one only because of my spacing. I didn't realize that I was going to use so much space. Let's go down to number 4. Number 4, it's a mixed number. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is turn this into an improper fraction. Actually, I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'll do this one as an improper fraction, and then number 6, we'll do it straight as mixed numbers. So an improper fraction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my denominator and my numerator, so that's going to give me 8, and you are going to add your numerator. So that means that your new fraction is going to be 9 over 2. So again, I'm going to multiply my numerator and my denominator, so my whole number times my denominator, 20, and you're going to add 1. So that gives me 21 over 4. All I did now is I converted my mixed number into an improper fraction. Now that I turn it into an improper fraction, I am going to just find the common denominators here. So if you're still not comfortable knowing your factors or your multiples here, go ahead and just write them out. So remember, your multiples are 2, 4, 6, and 8. My multiples of 4 are 4, 8, and 12. Least common multiple are 4. So that means that I need to make my denominators into 4. Well, this one's already 4. This one I get to multiply times 2. So my new fraction is going to be 18 over 4 plus 21 over 4. Now if they have the common denominator, I'm just going to add my numerators. 18 plus 21 will give me 39 over 4. Turn this into a mixed number back again. So 4 divided by 39. How many times does 4 go into 39? That will make it 9 times 36. And that will just give me 3 fourths. So your final answer is going to be 9 and 3 fourths. Now let's do number 6. Number 5, sorry. Number 5. They have common denominators, so because they have common denominators, I'm just going to add in the top. So I got 12 over 9. And if they need to be reduced, go ahead and reduce it. And I'll reduce it by 3 in this case. So that would give me 4/3. So because this is an improper fraction, I'll just use my long division. How many times does 3 go into 4? That would go in once. My final answer is going to be 1 and 1/3. Last question here in this page. This is a second way to do this. What I want you guys to realize is all I can do is I can add my whole numbers, and that will give me 9. And I'll just remove your fractions. And so now what we're doing is we're just adding our fractions because we already added our whole number. And so here now we have to find the common multiples here to find the common denominator. So I know they both meet at 36. So that means I have to multiply both my denominator and my numerator by 4, and here I have to multiply by 9. So my new fractions are going to be 18 and 36 plus 24 and 36. And 4 plus 18, that would give me 42 over 36. This is also an improper fraction. Just to make my life easier, I'm just going to reduce this by 6. That would give me 7 over 6. And 6 divided by 7, that would give me 1, 1 and 6. So now all I got to do now is just add my whole number, 1 plus 1 and 1/6. Well, that's just going to give me 10 and 1/6. That seems like a lot of steps, so whichever way you want to do it, if you want to add the whole numbers first or you want to turn it into improper fractions, that is whatever you want to do. Second page is on subtraction. The second page right here for practice is subtraction. So notice that all I did now is that my operations are all subtracting. Same exact way, nothing changes. What I need to do is I need to find the common multiples here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my denominators and I'm going to write the numbers here on the side. And I'm just going to do the multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And now I'm going to find the multiples of 10. 10, 20, 30, 40. Remember, you need to find your least common multiple. They meet at 10. So now that they meet at 10, I need to turn my denominators into a common denominator. So I already have this as 10. Now this needs to be multiplied times 5. So my new fraction is going to be 20 over 10 minus 2 over 10. Remember, when you have common denominators, you just either add or subtract depending on the situation on your numerators. 20 minus 2 will give me 18 over 10. This is still an improper fraction, so you got to do long division. How many times does 10 go into 18? Well, it only goes once, so we got 10. 8 tenths. And I have to reduce that. So 8 over 10, reduce it by 2, 4/5. So my official answer is going to be 1 and 4 over 5. So let's go ahead and skip over number 2. I should have realized how much space it was going to take over. Let's go to number 3. For number 3, it's the same idea. Now, if you are really good with your multiples, you should realize that they meet at 44. So if they meet at 44, so you know that you need to multiply 4 here on the denominator and 4 on your numerator, and 11 on my denominator and 11 on my numerator. So that means that my new fraction on my left is going to be 66 over 44 minus 40 over 44. 66 minus 40 will just give me 26 over 44. And I can reduce this by 2, and that will give me 13 over 22. That's it. Next, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to turn this into an improper fraction just to make my life easier. Remember, multiply this out. That would give me 30, and then you're going to add. 30 plus 2 will give me 32 over 6 minus 1/3. I need to figure out where do these two numbers meet? Well, they meet at 6. So I can multiply this by 2. My new fraction is going to be 32 over 6 minus 2 over 6. 32 minus 2 will just give me 30 over 6. And this one's pretty straightforward because 30 divided by 6 is just going to equal 5 wholes, and that's it. This one's a unique one. This one is just giving you a whole number. Last two. I'm going to do them fairly quickly just to make this video shorter. So what I did here is that I turned these numbers into improper fractions. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17, divided by 2. 8 times 9 is 72, plus 4 is 76 over 9. I subtracted these two, but first what I need to do was I figured that they will both meet at 18, so I multiplied here by 9 and I multiplied here by 2, giving me the answers of 153 over 18 minus 152 over 18. My final answer is 1 over 18. Next, what I did here first is I subtracted my whole numbers. 9 minus 1 just gave me 8. And then I took the fractions here, 8 over 9 minus 8 over 10, found the common denominator. I got 80 over 90 minus 72 over 90, which equals 8 over 90, and I reduced it by 2. My final fraction was 4/45, so this is my answer.